Hello, my name's Kate Derbyshire, and I'm the author of Speechless. And I thought I'd quickly pop onto the computer and let you know a little bit about the inspiration for the book and why I think it's a great story to use in classrooms and perhaps for your next book club read. So first of all, I want to tell you a quick story. Many years ago, a few more years ago than I would like it to be, I I had a baby girl, and her name was Katie. And lots of people have babies, and that's not very unusual. But when she was born, she had quite a big birthmark on the right hand side of her face, and the paediatricians got all excited about it. But to me, it was just a sign of, how beautiful she was. It didn't worry me at all. But then as time went on, there were a few things that were just a bit different from my other children. So for instance, she didn't feed very well, didn't put weight on like perhaps she should have done. She never cried, literally never cried. She was virtually silent. And then the other thing was that she couldn't use her left hand. And at this point, we decided we'd better take her to the doctor and get her checked out. The doctor ran some tests and he found out that she had cerebral palsy. I was absolutely distraught. I couldn't stop crying for weeks. And then one day, I bumped into this lady. Her name's Bev. She's an absolutely incredible woman. She had been affected by the thalidomide drug. And so, although she had hands and feet, she really didn't have any arms and legs. And she said, "How are you? And how's Katie?" And I told her that Katie had been diagnosed with cerebral palsy, and I just burst into tears. And her reaction was just really amazing. She said, stop that right now." And I kind of looked at her and she said, "This is Katie's life." She said, "You have no right to take that away from her. You have no right to make her feel miserable or vulnerable or anything. This is the life she's been given, and you need to rejoice in that life and, just do the best you can." And that kind of shut me up a bit because this lady who had far more problems than Katie was ever going to have. And yet she could hold down her own job, get herself to and from work in a car with no arms and legs. And she was telling me just to give Katie her life, just to appreciate her for the child and the beautiful person that she was. And it really changed my attitude. So when I started writing my book, it seemed obvious to me that I should have a character with cerebral palsy. And a couple of things struck me. One is that when I was growing up, being around or even hearing about people with special needs or disabilities made me quite anxious, and I didn't know how to approach them. And I thought, well, if I didn't know how to behave around people who had special needs, then perhaps other children and other people in general don't really have that understanding either. And the only way to really find out about somebody who has cerebral palsy is to live with them, except for books. And books have this wonderful way of getting you inside a situation that you would never ever be in before. So I decided that this book would be from my main character, Harriet's perspective. And she is the person who has cerebral palsy. She uses a wheelchair and she doesn't really speak. So that was my first thing. And then my second thing was that when I was 11, which is the age of Harriet, I wasn't having a very good time at school. I didn't really fit in. People said I spoke too posh and I didn't belong in their school. They laughed at me because I had so many brothers and sisters. And I thought, well, if people were mean to me, how much worse would it be for someone like Harriet? And my other thing is that when I was in that situation, being bullied at school, I kind of retreated into myself and I kind of kept myself to myself so that I didn't have to um, put myself in a position of getting hurt. And I thought that's what my main character is going to do. She has speech, but in her new secondary school, she won't use her voice because her voice makes her sound as if she has learning difficulties, which she actually doesn't have any learning difficulties. And so she won't use her voice. So if you don't use your voice, how do you make friends? And so really that was my kind of premise for the story. How is Harriet, who inside she's just as witty and funny and feisty as any other 11-year-old, how is she going to make it so that other people can actually find out that that's what she's like inside without using her voice? So ultimately, Speechless is a story of hope and courage, of overcoming the bullies who call Harriet horrible names. And to do this, she has to reach out past the pain and past the uncertainty and her fear about making friends. She has to make that friend and she has to develop that resilience to come through and to resolve all her problems. So I think that Speechless has a lot to offer. It has messages for all children, especially those who suffer at the hands of bullies. And it has messages for other people who may be in the same situation as Harriet. It's so important that all sections of society get to see themselves in books. So I really hope you'll enjoy reading Speechless. If you want to find out more about what I have going on, go over to the website, which is katederbyshire.com, and come and see me. Send me a message. I love hearing from readers, and I look forward to seeing you on the website. Bye-bye.